Good morning. Welcome. Happy Sunday. I created a playlist for today. If you choose to listen along, I'm going to drop a link to it right underneath this live video, and it's also linked underneath the post that I put up yesterday announcing this class. So if you'd like to listen along, that's how you can find the link. Give everyone just another minute or two. Hi, Jen, to get logged in and settled in, and then we'll get started. We are going to start in Shavasana today again, so lying down on our back. So if you are in and you're ready, you can find a comfy variation on your back and start to settle in. Make sure you have your water or your coffee or your tea close by. If you need blocks or any other props, music, get everything ready to go, and then get nice and comfy on your back. And I will join you there shortly. If you're here early and you're settling in, just close your eyes and start to take some nice, even, slow, steady, full inhales and exhales, especially in the exhale. Make sure you are letting all of that air go. And just start to settle in. And we'll get started in just about a minute. So I just want to welcome everyone. I always say good morning and happy Sunday, but I know that many of you visit this throughout the week, so just welcome to you whenever it is that you are logging on to this video. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Erica. I'm going to be guiding you through your yoga flow this morning. Super Bowl Sunday. New day, new week. And we're going to get started. So we are going to start this morning in Shavasana. If you need to get your music going, you can go ahead. By the way, I had a question about this. If you guys do follow along on the playlist I create, make sure that it's not on shuffle so it plays straight through in the order. I kind of create it with the pace that matches our movements in class. So starting slow, building up, and then slowing down again. Okay. And everyone should be lying on their backs. I will meet you there in just a moment. And I really just want you to take a few slow, deep breaths. Start to let go, start to relax, close the eyes if they're not already. And hopefully feel a sense of calm start to come over you. Breath is such an important tool, has such a strong connection to our emotions, how we feel, how we experience things. And I thought this morning, with it being Super Bowl Sunday, I'd start with a little pep talk rather than a traditional Dharma. I am no expert at pep talks. I'm no Lou Holtz. I can't even take credit for the words I'm about to share with you. But I saw them online. It was called a mini pep talk. And hopefully they'll motivate you this morning through the next 45 minutes or so of our yoga flow. And even better, if you can carry these words with you off of your mat into your life, because that is the purpose of yoga. Yes, we move our bodies. Yes, we calm our minds, but yoga is to be lived and breathed off the mat as well. We don't get too much into that in these types of classes, but maybe some things we can touch on. But this is just something simple, your mini pep talk for the day that I want to share with you. And it said you can do it, even though sometimes you doubt yourself, even though at times it can feel so overwhelming. Do not worry. Breathe. Trust yourself. Know that you are capable and that you're going to absolutely smash it. So whether you want to think about smashing it or you have any doubts this morning about your yoga practice, keep that in your mind and carry that with you into life, into whatever it is that you choose to do, that you hope to accomplish. And with that in mind, perfect time for us to set an intention, because And intention is just where we want our energy to go, what we're creating energy for. So do you have a goal you're working on? Is it something related to yoga? Is it something larger than that for you, for someone else, for the world at large? Just bring that into your heart and into your mind. And take a couple more deep breaths, and I'm going to meet you all on our backs. And we'll take just a few more moments, a few more breaths in stillness before we start to invite some movements into the body. Take a quick scan of how you feel this morning before we start moving. We'll try to do that again at the end of class, just for a quick comparison, and hopefully you're feeling a little lighter, a little looser, a little warmer, a little freer, ready to tackle your day. Ooh, no pun intended, I said tackle your day. Football on the mind, right? All right. Take one more deep inhale and exhale. Breathe all the way in through the nose. Fill all the way up. Feel the belly and the chest rise. Then open your mouth and slowly, with control, let it all go until you are empty. Good. Then I want you to bring a bend into your right leg. The sole of the right foot's going to find somewhere along the inner left leg, and then that knee's going to drop open to the side. So you're almost making like a four shape with your legs. This is a reclined tree pose. Okay, so again, sole of the right foot anywhere along that left leg. Might be closer to the calf, might be to the inner thigh. Even could be to the knee because we're not putting any pressure on here. But the goal is to open this right hip. Let that right knee fall wide to the side. And then you have the option to keep your hands by your sides or to open the arms to cactus. So here is an intentional reference. We call this our football goal post. So we're looking at 90-degree angles, palms facing up. I feel my back start to arch, so I'm really going to try to release that and settle in here. Unclench the right glute if you find that it's clenched. Relax that muscle and take a few breaths. Good. See if you can open that knee just a little bit wider. Warm up that hip for one more full breath. Good. And then we're going to keep that right knee bent, except we're going to now hug it in toward the chest. Hands can interlace in front of that knee and help guide that knee closer to the body. Maybe here you point and flex the toe, or you roll out your ankle slowly in both directions. I know early in the morning I always get a lot of pops and cracks here. Good. Really draw that knee in closer to the chest, maybe even slightly off to the side, closer to the armpit. Now your left leg's extended long. If that's too much for you or it's too early, just bring a bend into the left leg, plant the sole of the foot. It should take a little bit of the intensity off of the stretch. Go, let's take one more full breath here. Really hug it in. Good. And then we're going to prepare to take a spinal twist. So if your left leg is bent, extend it long. Reaching for the right knee with your left hand guided across your body. Right arm extends out to the side. Gaze can follow even if the eyes are closed. Gentle spinal twist. I know it's nice and early, so don't do this too aggressively. Nice and gentle. Make sure that right shoulder is not popping up. If it is, back off of the twist. If you're even looking, you can see that my right knee is not connected to the earth. That's okay. I'm still wringing out from the core. Let's take one more full breath here. Good. Slowly and with control coming onto our backs. That right knee stays bent, and we're going to find a half of a happy baby. So you can either use your peace fingers, we call this our yogi toe lock, around the big toe, or you can use the right hand to the outer edge of the right foot, bend right knee, drawing that right knee in closer to the armpit. Again, using our hands and our upper body to get a little deeper into these lower body openers. And again, left leg is straight, but if you want to take a little bit of the intensity down, bring a bend into it. Okay, just think about drawing the right knee closer to the armpit. The sole of your right foot should be facing the ceiling. Good. Take your final breath here. And then slowly and with control, release that right leg all the way down to the mat or to the earth. And now we're going to get into our second side. So we started with that reclined tree. So this time you'll bend the left leg, sole the left foot along the inside of the right leg, and that left knee drops open to the side. Gentle hip opener. I have really tight hip flexors all the time, so I can really feel this already. Flex that left foot. Settle in. Make sure you're not engaging the glutes or arching the spine. Take a breath to settle, and then if you did so on the first side, finding cactus with the arms again, a nice gentle chest opener, heart opener, palms facing up, eyes can stay closed. Good, suck the belly in, try to relax the core or the spine. And take a couple of breaths here. Gently just warming up and opening up the body to prepare us for some bigger movements as we move through our practice. For our final breath, see if you can, again, just even using the hand, open that left knee a little bit more to the side. Good, and releasing out of this slowly and with control. Left leg stays bent, but let's draw that knee into the chest, interlacing the hands in front of that left knee, using the arms, the upper body, to get a little deeper into the stretch. So again, drawing the knee into the chest, maybe pointing and flexing the toes, maybe circling out the ankles slowly in both directions. Again, know you have that option. If you need to take a little of the intensity down from this, you can bend that right leg. If this feels okay, keep it extended long. Good, maybe gently draw it closer to the armpit, get into the hip a little bit more. Good, top body's connected and relaxed, eyes can stay closed. And we're gently going to grab that left knee with the right hand as we draw it across the body. So if your right leg is bent, straighten it out. Spinal twist, left hand, left arm extends out to the side. Gaze can follow. Gentle twist of the spine. Think about twisting a little bit deeper with each exhale breath. Make sure this left shoulder is not popping up off the mat. If it is, dial back your twist a little bit. Good. Final breath as we twist. And then always slowly and controlled, we come back to our backs. And we're going to find that half happy baby. So again, either the peace fingers and thumb wrap around the big toe. That's one grip option. This is called our yogi toe lock. I feel I get a little more oomph, a little more pressure, a little more leverage in my stretch if I reach to the outer edge of the foot with the left hand. Okay, my right leg's extended long, but you can bend it if you need to. And we're thinking about drawing this left knee closer to the left armpit. Top body's connected and relaxed. Sole of the left foot is facing the ceiling. And take a few breaths here. Good. Final breath, and then we're very slowly, with control, release any grip you have. Slowly lower that left leg all the way to the earth to meet the right. Before we get up, let's take a full body stretch. So bring the legs together to touch, point the toes. Arms extend overhead nice and long. If you don't have the space, you can reach for opposite elbows. Suck that belly in, feeling really long. Good. And then bring the knees into the chest. Both of them, hug the arms around the front. And we're just going to take a couple gentle rocks up and down the length of our mat so we can find an easy seat. So easy seat is our cross-leg pose. Doesn't matter which leg you start in front because we will switch. So one leg's in front of the other. Try to open those knees out to the side. Good. Settle in nice and tall through the spine, through the chest. And let's inhale our arms straight up overhead. Good. And then the exhale, we're going to take a little twist to the right. So the right hand's going to plant behind you, right behind the tailbone like a second spine. Left hand to the outside of the right knee. And twisting to the right, gazing off that right shoulder. Again, make sure that left hip and left knee aren't lifting. Good. Very slowly, let's release out of this twist. We are going to switch the cross of our legs, but before we do that, to help us get there, let's find a quick boat pose. So boat pose, you have 3 options here. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. Little ab work to activate the core before we really get moving. So in boat pose, arms straight out in front, engage the core, keep the belly tucked in, and you can keep your toes connected here with bent legs. You can lift them with bent legs, or you can even straighten the legs. So 3 variations here. Pick your poison. We're going to be here for 5, 4, sit up nice and tall for 3, pull in the belly for 2, final breath, and then cross with the opposite leg in front this time. Good. Always nice to activate the core. Helps us when we're standing with our balance poses. And again, inhale the arms straight up overhead. Take up as much space as you can. Good. Nice and tall through the spine. On the exhale, we slice it open to twist. Right hand to the outside of the left knee. Left hand plants behind the tailbone. You want it nice and close. We don't want to lean back. We're tall through the chest, through the core, and we're gazing off the left shoulder. Eyes can be open or closed here. Make sure you're breathing. Settle in for 2 breaths or so. Good. And as always, slowly and with control, we release out of this twist. And we're going to come over the knees, finding a tabletop pose. So we're going to be on all 4s, hands and knees. Your wrists are in a straight line down from the shoulders, so we don't want to be leaning forward or back. Knees are in a straight line down from the hips, just about 2 fists width distance or inner hips width distance apart. Suck in the belly, nice flat back, neutral spine. Then we're going to take a couple of cat-cows here like we always do to warm up the spine. So on your inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze, so big arch in the spine, tilt the hips up. Good. Exhale breath, really press through the palms. Make sure your fingers are nice and spread as you round the spine up high to the sky and your gaze comes inward. Good. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze. Oh, get some pops and cracks. It feels nice. Good. Exhale and round. Gaze comes in toward the body, pressing through the palms. One more time. Inhale, breath brings you down. Drop the belly, lift the hips, lift the gaze. Good. And exhale, we round as we press through the palms and the gaze comes inward. Good. Meeting back in a neutral spine. Bring your toes together to touch. Bring your knees a little closer to mats with distance. And we're going to push the hips back toward the heels, finding a child's pose. So gently walking the fingertips forward. Hips go back toward the heels. And maybe even forehead comes to the mat. Good. Settle in here. Knowing that child's pose is always a resting pose. So if you need it at any point in your practice, whether it's called or not, you can always come here. Good. We're going to get into the arms a little bit. So you have the option if you want to stay here. But I want to do a quick thread the needle to get into the shoulders a little bit here. So just lift slightly. Bring that right hand in between the left hand and the left knee, coming onto the right shoulder, right cheek. So we do this a lot from our tabletop. We're just doing it from our child's pose today, which I actually feel like my chest, putting a little more pressure on that arm, opens up that shoulder a little bit more for me. Good. Your hips might lift slightly, and that's okay. Left fingertips toward the top left corner of the mat. We're only here for one more breath. Good. Press through the left palm just to lift enough to straighten everything out. Settle in for a second, back center. And then if you took it on the first side, join me in the second. So lifting just enough to get that left hand between that right hand and right knee, coming onto the left shoulder. My palm is facing up. Left kind of temple, really. It's not even my cheek. It's my temples on the mat. Right hand to the top right corner. Good. Not worrying so much about hips to heels right now. Just gentle pressure on that left shoulder. If you have shoulder issues, obviously don't do this or take it very easily. Good. Take your last breath here. And then again, press through that right palm just enough to lift to kind of neutralize the spine. Come back to our child's pose for just a moment. Press the heels back, or the hips back toward the heels. And then we're going to rise back to our tabletop pose. And we're going to start picking things up a little bit here, building a little bit of heat in the body. So I want you to extend your left leg out long, hip height. Flex the left foot. Right arm comes out shoulder height like you're going to shake someone's hand. Good. Nice long line of energy from the right fingertips to the left toes. and then lower both. Then we'll go to the second side. So right leg extends long, flex that right toes facing down, left arm in front of you like you're shaking someone's hand. Spread the fingertips. Good, suck that belly in. Good, and these are called bird dogs, and we're gonna move through a few more of these. And I'd like you to just slowly start to pick up the pace. So left arm, right leg, right arm, left leg. Good. Keep the spine neutral, keep the belly sucked in. And then you could stick with this movement, which is a really great way to build some heat and really open up the back of the body. Or if you want to throw in a crunch, I'll talk you through that on the next side. So left arm forward, right leg back. If you want to crunch, it'll be left elbow to right knee. Round that spine like the angry cat. Release it long and lower. Right arm, left leg. Crunch it in, right elbow to left knee. Round the spine, release it long. So you can do it with or without the crunch. We're going to be here for a few more breaths. Really starting to get the body warm. I really love this move. It just feels good. So don't rush it. Take it at your own pace. Give you a few more breaths. So if you are crunching, make sure you're even on both sides. And then whenever you're ready, I'll give you a moment to even out. We'll meet back in our neutral tabletop. Good. Let's tuck the toes. Sit the hips back towards the heels with the toes tucked. Get a nice stretch along the ankle, the bottom of the foot, the Achilles tendon. Good. And excuse me. And then when you're ready, make sure your fingertips are nice and spread. We're going to slowly start to straighten the legs as we lift the hips and lower the heels, finding our first downward facing dog. Take a few moments here in this first down dog. Maybe walk out your dog. So bend the knees, get a nice calf stretch. Gentle shake of the head, yes or no, if you need to loosen up that neck. I like to come up to my tippy toes and back down. My heels get a little bit closer each time. Just make sure we're making that nice upside down V. Melting the chest back towards the thighs, but keeping the spine neutral. Not a big arch or a round here. Okay. And then slowly, one small step at a time, let's walk our feet towards our hands, meeting in a forward fold at the top of the mat. We're going to take this nice and slow since this is our first time here. Good. Think about lifting the hips, making sure the feet are grounded, letting the top body hang heavy, letting gravity do the work. So no wrinkles in the back of your neck. Okay, you should be looking. If I open my eyes stay closed, but if I open them, I'm actually looking through my calves, through my shins, toward the back of the mat. Good. Take a breath. Very slowly, one vertebrae at a time, we're going to start to rise to stand. Don't rush. Head will be the last thing to lift. And back up just so you can see me. But I want you to inhale. Take up that space again. Arms come nice and wide overhead. And I want you, I know I'm getting cut off, I want you to bring your hands to prayer. So touching palms. And I want you to drop those prayer hands toward the back of your neck. Keep the arms nice and close to the ears, the side of the head. Feel a nice little opening through the shoulders, chest, and the triceps. If that doesn't feel good, then don't do it. That's simple, right? Just listen to your body. Good. Bringing the prayer hands back up overhead, keeping them together. Prayer hands through heart center as you gently fold back over straight legs. Once you get down, you can release that hand variation. Inhale, breath. Let's take a halfway lift. Come to that flat spine. Shine your heart. Exhale, fold. Good. Plant the palms in front of the feet. Spread the fingers. Step back one leg at a time. Doesn't matter what order. We're in our high plank pose. We're here for 5, 4. Suck the belly in. 3. Make sure the hips aren't lifted. 2, 1. And we lift the hips, lower the heels, back to our downward facing dog. Going to take a couple breaths, maybe some movements here. Listen to your body. Maybe stillness is what it craves this morning. Maybe it wants to move. Good. So take another breath or two. Get comfy here, and then we're going to move through our first standing sequence. Good. So when you're ready, right leg's going to lift, finding a 3-legged dog. Again, it doesn't matter how high it comes. It's based on your flexibility, your range of motion. So it can stay low. It can come mid hip height, or it can come all the way if that's available to you. But don't force anything. Make sure everything else is square. Good. Maybe bend the knee, open the hip a little bit. Invite some movement into that leg as you stack your hips. Good, squaring off if the knee is bent. Knee comes into the nose, high on the left toes, angry cat back, and then step that right foot between the hands, finding your first low lunge. So in our low lunge, we have a nice deep bend on the right leg, 90-degree angle. Right foot is completely connected. You can keep your peace fingers down. Great place to come up to blocks if you just want to bring the earth a little bit closer. High on the left toes, shoulders square to the front, belly nice and engaged. Good. Take one more breath here. Make sure you're not hovering the top body on that thigh. And then simultaneously, we're going to drop that left knee. Left toes can stay tucked or untucked, personal preference, as you bring the arms overhead for a modified high lunge. Shoulders away from ears, pinkies spiral in. Going to take a nice little side body stretch here. So you don't have to grip the hands. You can just tilt to the right, but I like to grab the left wrist with the right hand and gently tilt toward that front bent leg. So we're leaning toward the right. Feeling a nice stretch along the left side of the body. To the rib cage, those intercostal muscles, the ones that, little tiny ones that help us with our breathing. Good, maybe even through the hip you might feel this, through the shoulder. Good, and then releasing slowly out of his hands. Let's start with the hands at the hips. And we're gonna start to gently lower forward, finding our crescent lunge. Now you can absolutely change the hand variation. You have lots of options. You can keep them here at the hips. I like to keep it at the hips just to keep my hips square. They tend to open up in this position. But you can certainly bring the arms overhead. And don't try all these as I rattle them off, but maybe pick one. You can open to cactus where we were at the beginning of class. If you're really open, you can even interlace behind, but it's early. I wouldn't force anything. I'm just going to keep them at my hips, and we're here for just another full breath or two. Good. And then we're going to find a half runner's lunge. So I would bring your hands down to frame out the right foot to help switch with this. Straighten out your right leg. Maybe even bump it forward a little bit because you want to keep your left hip away from the heel. This time we're focusing on the back of the right leg. So top body gently folds over the right leg. Flex that right foot. Toes come back toward your face. Left toes again, tucked or untucked. Depends on your own personal preference. Good. Now I want to give you the option. If you want to take a crescent lunge again and hold it, or this half runner stretch again and hold it, you can. But I want to move through more of a dynamic stretch, what we call a moving meditation in yoga, where you can slowly alternate between the two. So if you want to join me with that, we're going to lift, gently press down for crescent, and then straighten the right leg for that half runner stretch. And you can kind of move through that one breath at a time, or you can hold either of these poses. Dynamic stretching is really good when you're not really warm. When we just hold a static stretch is nice at like the end of a workout when the muscles are warm. But it's still really early on in our practice. It's cold outside. It's Sunday morning, so I tried to invite some movement into our practice today. Okay, so guys, if you're taking this moving meditation with me and you're alternating, we'll end in the runner stretch whenever you get there. If you were in that crescent coming back to the runner stretch, give you a moment to get there. And then we're going to plant the sole of the right foot, tuck the left toes. We're going to come back to our low lunge just as a transition. Build our base, make sure we're nice and steady here. And then slowly lifting the arms overhead. Pinkies are spiraled in, shoulders are away from the ears for our high lunge. Good. Take a nice deep inhale. Good. Exhale. Good. Feel that strength build. One more inhale. And on the next exhale, we're going to slice it open to warrior two. So nice deep bend in the front leg. Left toes facing the side. Arms are just shoulder height. Gazing off that right middle finger. See if you can sink a little bit deeper into this right leg. We're going to get some relief in just a moment, I promise. So find your nice warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2, feeling nice and strong here. And again, I'm going to give you the option to take a little movement. You can stay here if you'd like. If you want to take a little movement with me on your next inhale, straighten the leg, arms come up overhead, suck in that belly. Exhale, we bring it back down to warrior two. We're going to do that 2 more times, nice and slow and controlled. Inhale, straighten everything up. Exhale, sink it back down. Third and final time, inhale, straighten everything up. On your exhale breath, floats you back down to warrior two. We're going to hold it for just a breath or two here. Good. See if you get a little bit lower for this final breath. Good. Then spinning onto the ball of the left foot, we're going to cartwheel the hands down to frame out the right foot. We're back into our low lunge. Final pose here. Plant that left hand inside of the right foot. Twist by stacking shoulders. Right arm peels up high to the sky. Easy twist. Good. See if you can twist a little bit deeper for the final breath here. And then our right hand's going to float down to frame out the right foot. Step back to your plank pose. As always, if you want to flow, I'll talk you through it. If not, you can hold this plank. You can go to down dog. You can throw in a few push-ups if you want. If you want to flow with me, take a nice inhale breath to prepare. Exhale, we lower halfway, arms nice and close to the body. Inhale, find your back bend of choice. High cobra, low cobra, or upward facing dog. I don't know if you can see my feet are nice and wide, toes untucked. This is my high cobra. And then tucking the toes, rolling over the feet, meeting back in downward facing dog. And we get to do the whole thing all over again on our second side. And even though you know where we're going, let's not rush anything, taking our time, okay? Good. So left leg lifts, finding three-legged dog. Doesn't matter how high it comes again. If you did so on the first side, bend the knee, open up the hip, maybe invite some movement into that leg. Good, squaring off the hips when you're ready. High on the right toes to bring the knee into the chest. And then stepping the left foot between the hands, finding your low lunge. Good. So again, we want to make sure we're not resting the top body. We can use blocks or peace fingers. They can even hover, high on the right toes, left foot's connected. Deep bend in that left leg. We try to get that 90-degree angle. Build a little heat here. And then slowly and with control, we drop that right knee. Again, you can tuck or untuck the toes, up to you. Arms come straight overhead for our modified high lunge. And we're going to take a little side body stretch here. So whether you just lean toward the left the first time is fine, or if you took the hand grip, the left hand will grab the right wrist as you gently tilt toward the left side. Maybe even gaze off that right bicep. I don't know about you guys. I feel this in my side body, but I'm really feeling it in my right hip. Whew. Sometimes these little ones get you good. Good. Take another breath. Make sure you're not holding your breath as we're leaning here. Good. Coming back through center. We started last time with our hands on the hips to find our crescent lunge. So we're gently lean forward and down. Bump that left foot up if you need to. Good. So you should feel a nice deep stretch on that right hip flexor. Again, you can take any arm variation you want. Take a few breaths here on our first time in this pose. Feel free to open the arms to cactus or straight overhead. Anjaneyasana or crescent lunge. Good. And then very gently and with control, we're going to shift into our half runner stretch. So straightening the left leg, top body folds, flexing the left foot, bumping it forward if you need to. We don't sit back here. My right glute is high away from my right heel. And fold over that left leg. Then the hamstrings start to open, hopefully. Good. Now you guys know you have the option. If you want to find a crescent and hold it for a few breaths, and then this half runner stretch again, or half split we call it, Ardha Hanumanasana, and hold each one you can, or if you want to take a little bit of that movement, the dynamic movement, you can slowly shift, but we're with control between both of these poses. Okay, so pick whichever variation you'd like. Either find this dynamic stretch as we smoothly shift between both. Let your breath guide you, linking your breath with your movement. That's what yoga's all about. Or holding one for a few breaths and the other for a few breaths. Wherever you are, you have another, I would say 2 or 3 breaths. So if you need to even out or you need to switch poses, go ahead. Good. We'll finish up in that half runner stretch. So I'll give you a moment to get there. And then we're going to find that low lunge just as a transition. So plant the sole of the left foot, come on to the right toes, find your low lunge, build your base, and then slowly arms lift straight overhead to our high lunge. Good. Pinky spiraling shoulders away from the ears. Nice deep bend in the left leg. Take an inhale. Good. Let it go. Inhale again. And on the next exhale, we slice it open to warrior two. Nice deep bend in the left leg. Good. Right toes facing the side, shoulders away from the ears, gazing off the left middle finger as you settle in here. Nice big hip opener, strength and a stretch. Nice balance here in our yoga practice. Good. Now you know you can stay here if you want to take again that moving meditation, that dynamic stretch. Inhale. We straighten the leg, arms come straight overhead. Exhale slowly and with control, we float it back down. Do that 2 more times if you're doing this with me. Inhale, straighten everything up. Exhale, lower back to our warrior two. Final time. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, back into our warrior two. Good. Settle in for just a breath so you can get a little bit lower. Good. And then we're going to cartwheel our hands down to frame out the left foot. Spin onto the ball of the right foot. Right hand plants inside of the left foot. Left arm peels up high to the sky. Easy twist. Good. Should be high on those right toes. Good. Left hand frames out the left foot. Go back to your plank. Move through your flow. Or just meet back in downward facing dog. Lowering halfway. Finding your back bend of choice. Mine's always upward facing. I'm sorry, not upward facing dog. High cobra is always my preference. And then downward facing dog. We have one more standing sequence, a little bit shorter here. Going to focus on a little bit of balance before we bring it down. So from our downward facing dog, let's take a nice walk to the top of the mat, finding a forward fold. Good. Once you're there, nice and slow and controlled, one vertebrae at a time, we rise to stand. I'm going to back up just so you can see me in your frame. Okay, let's bring the weight into our right foot. So start to bring the weight into the right as you bend on the left knee. We're going to find a tree pose. I always like to start balance with my hands of prayer. Pressing at that midline really helps. Find a dristi. A dristi is something really small that you can look at and stare at hard to help you focus. And then with tree pose, you can simply open the knee to the side and keep the left toe like a little kickstand. Sole of the left foot can come to the calf or it can come to the inner thigh. Just don't put direct pressure on your knee. Your knee joint shouldn't be moving laterally. Okay, this is our tree pose, and you can stay with your hands at prayer, or once more to cactus or grow your branches. Think about your foot rooted into the earth like a tree. Think about when storms come your way and ruffle your branches and your feathers, your leaves, whatever it is, that you still stay strong and grounded and rooted. Gotta take one more breath here. If you fall out of it, it's no big deal. We get right back in, right? Good. Let's bring that left knee into the chest. Find your balance. And then we're going to cross that left knee behind the right, coming high onto the left toes. Left knee behind the right knee as you sink into Krishna. It's kind of like a curtsy lunge, as they call it in the gym. This is our Krishna pose. Good. And you have the option to stay right here. If you want to invite a little twist, you can always hook the left elbow to that right knee, gazing off the right elbow. Good. Wherever you are, take one more breath. If you're twisted, come back center, and we're all going to straighten the legs to find this cross-legged forward fold. Feel free to adjust your feet if you need to. We're really only here for a moment. Good, and then we're going to uncross to find a wide-legged forward fold. And then plant your hands inside of that right foot as you step the left foot to the back of the mat, finding lizard. So take a couple of rocks back and forth, off the left toes. And then if you want to find a deeper variation, you can drop the left knee, untuck the toes. Maybe use the right hand on that right knee to open the hip. Maybe coming to forearms if that's available. I'm going to give you about 3 to 5 breaths here in your lizard, this nice big hip opener. So take it however you'd like. So in a lunge, more relaxed here. Maybe stay lifted the whole time. Just a few more breaths. Good. Let's take your final breath in your lizard. And then we'll slowly come out of it. So if the sole of the right foot's not planted, plant it. Coming back to the palms. Tuck the left toes. We're back in our lizard lunge. Right leg steps back to meet the left. You're in your plank. And you can go right to down dog or hold this plank. Or you can flow by lowering halfway through chaturanga. Coming on to your back bend of choice. And then rolling over the toes, meeting back in downward facing dog. And then moving through our last few poses here as we walk to the top of the mat to meet in that forward fold. And then we take that slow rise to stand to prepare for our balance work. This time the weight comes into the left foot. So really think about grounding through all four corners of that left foot. Coming to the right toes connected first. Again, I always like to start with hands at prayer heart center. And then finding your tree. So whether it stays connected with your right toes like a kickstand and you just open the knee, or maybe you come to the calf, or maybe you come even higher. Just don't press on that knee. Good. Find your dristi. Dristi in Sanskrit means focus. Certainly a skill we can take off our mats, right? We always multitask. We're always doing 800 things. Sometimes we need to find that laser, like that singular focus, which we certainly need when we're balancing. Feel free to take any arm variation you'd like here. Grow your branches, open to cactus, or keep them up prayer heart center. We're here for another 2 breaths. If you fall, don't sweat it. No one knows, right? You're home by yourself. Who cares? Just yoga. Happens all the time. Means you're trying. Okay, final breath here. Bring that right knee into the chest. And then we swing it behind to find Krishna. So high on those right toes. Left foot is fully connected. And then settle in here. My right knee almost kind of presses into my left calf, which kind of feels good. Okay, settle in here for your Krishna. If you took the twist on the first side, you can take it again here. Right elbow outside of left knee. Get nice and compressed here. Making fun shapes with our body. Good. Wherever you are, one more breath. If you're twisted, coming out of the twist, straighten the legs, folding over. That X stretch. Good, we're only here for a breath or 2. Good, and then let's bring the feet mats width distance apart. So we're in this wide-legged forward fold. Again, letting gravity do the work here, hanging heavy. And then planting the palms inside of the feet. This time, right leg steps to the back of the mat. So your left foot and both hands should pretty much be in a straight line across your mat. Take a couple rocks back and forth off those toes. And then if you did so on the first side, settling in here by dropping the right knee, untucking the toes, finding whatever variation of lizard you want this morning. And really, it's whatever feels good for you. You might feel a little stretch, a little bit of discomfort as you settle in, but it shouldn't be painful. And if you're feeling that little bit of discomfort, just make sure you're breathing. Deep breaths. You will relax and ease into this pose. Your body will start to open and warm and let you settle in. Good. Taking another 3 or 4 breaths here in your lizard pose. Whatever variation you're in, nice big hip opener. Good. Maybe take your final full breath here. And then slowly, one piece at a time, coming back to where we started. So if you're on the outer edge of that left foot, planting the sole. If you're down on the forearms, coming back to the palms. If your right knee's down, tucking the right toes, lifting back up into this lizard lunge. Left leg meets the right into our high plank. And if you choose to take it, moving through your final flow. So inhale. Exhale, lower halfway. Arms really hug the rib cage. Good. Finding your back bend, whether it's high cobra, where we're here. Guys, if that's too much, low cobra, you know, is always an option. In up dog, it's just the tops of the feet and the palms. Then rolling over the toes, meeting back in downward facing dog. For the last time, let's come out to our high plank, top of a push-up, and slowly and with control, we're going to lower all the way to our bellies. Once you get there, just roll right over onto your back. I'm going to come sideways on my mat just so you guys can get a better view. Okay, good. Whew, let's hug the knees into the chest. Give ourselves a nice little squeeze. I don't know about you, but this feels much more accessible and comfortable for me than it did when we started. Hopefully the same for you. And then let's bend the knees. Well, they're already bent. Keep them bent as you lower the soles of the feet to the earth. Good. Bring the heels nice and close to the sits bones. Let's bring the shoulder blades nice and close together underneath your back so you slightly lift your heart, arms down by the side of your body. And we're going to find a bridge pose. So pressing through the heels as you lift the hips high to the sky. Good. Make sure there's some space between your chin and your chest for your air to flow freely. Make sure your knees aren't splaying out wide. Imagine that you had a block in between them. If you have a block, you can even put them there. And then slowly lowering the hips back to the earth. Maybe drop the knees side to side, little windshield wiper action to loosen up that lower back. We're going to do that one more time. Good. So coming back center. Once more, lifting to find your bridge pose. Good. Again, make sure you're engaging the inner thighs. See if you can lift a little bit higher. Good. And then gently lowering back down to the earth, dropping the knees side to side, finding that little windshield wiper movement. And we took a half happy baby in the beginning of class. Let's take a full happy baby here. If the full happy baby is too much for you, you can come back to that half. But if you want to take a happy baby with me, draw the knees into the chest, bend the legs, reaching for the outer edge of both feet or that yogi toe lock. I get more leverage here with my hands. So you're really drawing the knees in toward the armpit area. Soles of the feet are facing the ceiling. Top body's connected. You should be connected all the way from your head to your tailbone. If your tailbone is like curling and lifting, I just did a really bad visual for anyone who just looked. It shouldn't be. So really keep the length of your spine fully grounded here. And just settle in for a few breaths. Good. Maybe you stay perfectly still. It's the end of our practice. I know sometimes I like to take some gentle rock side to side and happy baby feels nice. So as always, I just encourage you to listen to your body. Right? Don't worry about how anything looks. Think about how it feels. You're probably home by yourself. No one's looking at you or no one cares. Guys, take your final breath here. Let's draw those knees back into the chest. And before we find our final rest, let's just take another little spinal twist here with both legs bent. A nice comparison to the beginning of class. I know I always feel a lot warmer at this point. So let's drop both knees over to the right hand to the outside of the left knee. Again, left arm can extend out long. Good. Even though it's a slightly different variation with both knees bent versus one bent and one straight, I definitely feel different. I feel warmer, I feel looser, it's more comfortable, more accessible. Hopefully the same for you. Creating space in the body, creating space in the mind. Final breath here. Good. Release that hand grip. Use the core to bring the knees back through center. Drop them over to the left. Left hand to the outside of the right knee. Right arm's extended out long, gazing off that right arm, whether the eyes are open or closed. Good. Settle in. Again, our twist comes from the core. Like you're wringing out a sponge or a towel, right? Take your final breath here. Release the hand grip. Actually, let's hug both knees into the chest one final time. Maybe even curling up and do a little ball. And then slowly we're going to release everything out long, finding your final resting pose, your Shavasana. If you need to go ahead to the last song, if you're on my playlist, you can skip right ahead to the last song, which is called Breath. Or you can turn your music off, your lights off, turn off your music, whatever serves you. This is your practice. Let's take a nice deep breath together. So everyone inhale, fill all the way up, feel the chest and the belly rise. And open mouth, release that breath. Close your eyes and settle in here. And give yourself permission to slow down for just a few minutes out of your entire day. Whether you're preparing for Super Bowl festivities or not, whether you have a busy day to get ready for the work or school week, maybe you're doing nothing. Okay, whatever it is, we owe ourselves this time to find some stillness. When we can find the stillness in our bodies, we can hopefully find some calm in our minds. And I know it's unrealistic to think we can fully control our thoughts, but at least, hopefully, our thoughts don't control us here. So just keep the eyes closed. Keep the breath natural. Try to keep the body as still as possible. So find that pose, that variation, whatever it is. Sometimes I find my arms overhead relaxes me. Find whatever variation of this pose will allow you the deepest sense of relaxation for just a few more breaths today. And settle in. Hopefully feeling grateful for your body, your breath, the day. And if you find your mind is wandering here, come back to your intention. Come back to something you're grateful for. Find a mantra that resonates with you and repeat it to yourself, either out loud or quietly. One of the other nice things about being at home. Just take your final few breaths here in this resting pose of Shavasana, our corpse pose. And I tend to keep our Shavasanas fairly quick here. I know it's hard for athletic people who move a lot, but I always say this, and with full sincerity, if you can stay longer, please do. You can turn me off. Turn your computer, your iPad, whatever off, and just stay for a few more minutes. But for those of you who have a busy day waiting you, let's start to invite some gentle movements back into the body, but let's not disturb the piece we just created. So maybe start with gentle finger and toe movements, maybe pointing and flexing the toes, wiggling the fingers, bringing some life back into the body. Let's take a nice full body stretch again. So bringing the legs together to touch if they're out wide, pointing the toes, sucking in the belly, arms extend overhead or opposite elbows. Hopefully feeling nice and stretched. And then hugging the knees back into the chest, curling up into a little ball. And when you're ready, there's no rush at all. Rolling over onto your right side, finding fetal pose. Don't get up too quickly. And then using your left hand for some support, just gently guiding yourself back up into a seated position. So we'll meet in easy seat, cross leg, doesn't matter which leg's in front, to close out our practice. And even though we're not all together, we might be practicing at different times, we're certainly in different places, I like to close class with one collective breath, so everyone breathing together. So when you're ready, take a nice deep inhale through the nose, fill all the way up. Open mouth, really let it go, make it audible. Bringing the hands to prayer heart center, bowing the head toward the heart. Thank you so much for joining me today, for allowing me to be your guide. Accept what is, let go of what was, have faith in what will be. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Hope everyone has a great day. I'll see you soon.